How
Hello.
are you?
I am great. Happy to have new music out. Almost.
Yes, and also I have to say before we get into your music, I am so glad you're doing today's Zoom call with your album wall behind
Ah,
you.
yep.
Yesterday you were on Instagram Live and we had a funny moment.
Yeah. Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, when you said that, I was just like thinking, okay, like radio. So she's probably talking about like my previous records.
For those watching this video who maybe didn't see the Instagram Live, I asked, "What's Megan? What's your favorite album behind you?" Meaning the wall. But you had a great answer though. For those that maybe didn't answer, can you reiterate your answer?
So I thought she was referring to like my previous records, like the records behind me, not like the physical ones. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think I said, I love them all, but Wild as Me got me my first Juno, which is obviously a huge milestone. But I feel like country music made me do it. Still to this day has some of my favorite songs on it, and I felt like there were also a lot of like B sides on that record that never really like got to have their moment.
Hmm.
But and it's funny because like of my like real like diehard fans, like the fans that know all of my stuff, they're always requesting me to play like these b-sides and stuff from the record, so that always makes me happy.
For sure. You know that they listened to the music, they went through it, and they connected with it, which is awesome. One thing that also, just as I joined your Instagram live last night, I just caught the tail end of your sentence. So I just have to ask, did I hear you say that you want chickens?
Somebody said something about that I should get my own chickens or something. I don't know where that came from. But no, I would love to have my own chickens. I eat eggs a lot and I love like
Mhm.
farm fresh eggs. There is a definite difference between like store-bought eggs and farm fresh eggs. But I also have a dog that would kill all of the chickens immediately if we had chickens. So
Okay, yeah, could be a bit of a bloodbath, maybe
yeah,
not so great.
yeah, absolutely. It would be a complete bloodbath. Yes.
How nice has it been to be home? I mean, not nice, but silver lining to be home to spend so much time with your dogs.
I mean, it's been great. Although I feel like they're spoiled now, and like I can tell they're getting upset now because we're starting to go back out on the road a bit more. We're opened up here, and like we're going on the road this weekend, and they know when the suitcase comes out that I'm about to leave, and they're just like, excuse me, I thought we were just doing this thing where like you're home all the time now. Like, what are you? You're just gonna go leave now? This is unacceptable. So.
You're supposed to be. It's funny how they know the suitcase. You won't even have like put on your shoes, your jacket, anything. You're in your room with the suitcase. It's a odd thing that they've picked up.
Oh yeah, they know.
Yeah. So of course we have to talk about your brand new album, Heart on My Glass, officially out as of June 25th. How does it feel to be putting out this album, this labor of love into the world?
I'm so excited. I've been telling everybody that this feels like the most me record I've ever made. And I think that as much as the pandemic sucked, I do think that it is a product of that and all of that time off. One, being able to do a lot of self-reflection, and two, having a lot more time than usual to just focus on creativity and writing songs. And also to, having the time to really fine tune these songs and make sure they are all as great as they can be. We have more time in the studio because normally I'm trying to fit in recording and making a record in between touring and on the road, and I'm on a deadline, and I just think that this approach creatively was different because I didn't have a deadline. I wasn't, in a rush. I wasn't doing a million other things at once. I was just living in this creative headspace every day. Um, and I had a lot of time to think about too, like how I can remain authentic and true to myself, but also keep evolving and growing and finding ways to peel back more layers and show my fans more pieces of who I am. And I think they get a lot of that on this record, lyrically and in terms of the content and the stories, but also musically. I brought in a lot of the influences. I mean, you look at the record wall and you can see it's not all country records up there. Songs like Better Story brought in my love for blues and gospel, that kind of soul kind of stuff. I mean, Aretha's up there. That's my girl. Um, and then songs like Belong in Boots has kind of like this funk groove to it. I played in a 10-piece funk band when I was in college. And then, songs like Liar 2 is a little bit of like a throwback to almost sort of the punk rock kind of stuff I listened to when I was like a teenager. So yeah, I think I really wanted to start bringing in more of those influences that made me who I am outside of country.
So if I were to sit down, because I haven't heard the album yet, I'm so excited. If I were to sit down and listen to Grace and Grit, Country Music Made Me Do It, Wild as Me, and then hit play on Heart on My Glass, what kind of, you're talking about these new influences and different influences and creativity and production wise, but what kind of story what am I going to get when I hit play all the way through to the end?
Well, I think like when I look back on my previous records, like especially my first one, Grace and Grit it was my first studio album with a major label. And so I was feeling this pressure to like tell everybody who I was. And so I feel like when I listen to those songs, I hear myself trying to tell everyone who I am. Whereas the songs now, I am just being me.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not to say that anything in the past was like not authentic or anything, but I hadn't like figured out yet how to just be myself instead of trying to tell everybody who I was. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think that there's just a lot more vulnerability and um depth in this record as opposed to the first one, just because I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about how to translate that into my music and how to be more honest in my songwriting. So yeah, I think you're gonna see a big evolution there for sure.
Oh, I'm excited. And I do want to just go back for a quick second there. You mentioned a 10-piece funk band in high school. Was that your first band, or what was that experience like?
Well, my first band, I actually posted a throwback the other day. My first band ever was called the Sirens. It was a bunch of my girlfriends. I think we were like 13, maybe 12,
Hmm.
13 when we started this band. And we would literally go and play like at assemblies and stuff at like middle schools.
Yes.
It was pretty funny. Because I mean, it's like we're not like playing in bars and stuff. So it's like, where do you play shows when you're 13?
Yeah.
Um, and then, and I kind of like dabbled here and there. I was really into like metal and punk and stuff when I was in high school, and I like would mess around with different friends. I never had any like serious bands really through high school. At that time, I was really focused on snowboarding. But then when I went to university, when I went to McGill, I was in the jazz program at one point, and I met a bunch of horn players, and we started a 10-piece funk band called New Groove Orchestra. And we actually got to do some like pretty big shows. We got to open for Aretha actually at Montreal Jazz Fest, and we toured around a little bit. A couple of the guys were American. One of them was from Vermont, so we would tour over to Vermont a lot because it was really close to Montreal. So that was like kind of my first taste of like really like being on the road and like touring and playing shows. And and then we just kind of dissipated. I mean, people were graduating, and it was just
Hmm.
also really expensive to tour with 10 people. But then when I ended up moving back to Bowmanville, I met the guys that I started Stone Sparrows with. And we played together for I think almost 4 years. And again, even more further into being like touring, we made our own records, we did a lot of stuff. And so all of those things just kind of led me to where I'm at now, but I'm really grateful for them.
Yeah, that's a really neat backstory and more details that I didn't know. And I didn't know that you opened for Aretha. I mean, hello, that's cool. That's got to be a bucket list moment, right?
Oh yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, huge. I actually the Toronto with the Stone Sparrows too. I played the Toronto Jazz Fest, and we got to open for Tedeschi Trucks Band, which was another like
Oh,
massive
cool. Yeah.
like bucket list moment. I mean, Derek Trucks is my favorite guitar player of all time, so yeah, it was pretty wild.
So I mean, where do you go from there? Do you have another bucket list person that you want to perform with on stage? Who would that be?
I do. Eric Church is my favorite. I was actually so bummed because I was on the lineup with him for Boots and Hearts. It was actually going to be me and Brothers Osborne and Eric Church,
Yeah.
and it's now been postponed and rescheduled. I just told them, I was like, please, like if he stays on the festival, please keep me on his lineup. Please, 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 please.
Mhm.
I mean, he is by far like my favorite like new country artist, so that's still on the bucket list.
For sure. He just looks so cool with his sunglasses and his hats on. And of
Yeah.
course, his music just speaks for itself. In terms of your tunes and shows, I know you're playing Whiskey Jam in a couple days.
Mhm.
And is that your first show since officially putting out the album?
No, I got to play at Country Thunder in Iowa a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. And then I just played a charity show in Hendersonville, just outside of Nashville, the other night. So I've been playing a little bit, and I'm back out this weekend
Nice.
in Kansas and Nebraska. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. And then come back and play Whiskey Jam. Whiskey Jam is always just awesome. Like you get all your friends are in town, the vibe, like outdoor, big stage. It's gonna be really fun.
Oh, I'm envious. I'm green with envy. I don't know if it's coming through the screen, but up here in Canada, we can't wait. Of all the songs on this new album, which I mean, you've already played some of them. So which are you most excited to or have been the most fun to play so far?
To play on stage, I Liar 2 has been one of my favorites. We opened the show with Heart on My Glass and closed the show with Liar 2. And they're two of the most like high energy, like rockin' songs I think on the record. So I think that's probably why I love playing them live. And then Liar 2 has like this big epic like guitar outro thing, which is really fun. So yeah, I'd say those two.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, one of the songs on the album, My First Car, the music video that you put together and had everybody send in photos of their trucks and cars, whatever it might be. I was wondering if we could, in the last couple minutes, have some fun with other firsts that you've
Sure.
had.
Sure.
First time you heard your song on the radio.
I remember it distinctly. I was actually I was in Bowmanville, and
Hmm.
I was in my truck by myself, and I was going through the drive-through at Dairy Queen, and I was getting ice cream, and I
Yes.
was like sitting there, and I had the radio like turned down really quiet, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like waiting for my ice cream, whatever, and then all of a sudden I hear it come on. I'm like, oh my, this is me, and like the lady comes out to hand me my ice cream, and I'm like, this is me on the radio, like this is me. Oh my gosh, she's like, ah, like she like freaked out with me and whatever. So she gives me my ice cream, and I like pull out, and I just like cranked it all the way up, put all the windows down. And I'm just like driving, like, guys, this is me.
That's
And,
amazing. That's
yeah.
so much fun. Now, what did you get? Did you get a Smartie Blizzard? Did you get a Dilly Bar? What'd you go
I'm
to
trying to think
DQ
what my
order?
go-to was at the time. I was probably it was probably a blizzard of some kind. I was pretty into the banana cream pie blizzard for a while, but I
Yeah.
feel like they like discontinued it. I don't think they have it anymore. It was really
I
good though.
I mean, it's been a hot minute since I've been to a DQ, but I don't think I've seen it
I
in a
know.
while.
Like,
Um,
hey, listen, Dairy Queen, we need to get back the banana cream pie blizzard.
in terms of firsts, do you remember I'm sure you remember this one, your first date with Mitchell?
Yeah, so I mean, okay, our first like official date, like we hung out, you know, a couple
Hmm.
times, just like because we met through mutual friends, but like our first real date was to a Preds game. Mitchell is a huge Preds fan, and I guess he figured like Canadian girl, I'll take her to a hockey game, she'll love it, you know. And I did, and it was really fun. Yeah, we had a blast. Well, because when we first met, like we hung out like twice, and then I left to go on tour for like a month. I was on the James Barker band tour with
Hmm.
JoJo, and so you know we hung out like twice, and then I left for like a month, and I came back, and I was like we had basically created this whole relationship like long distance, and I was like, what is it gonna be like when we actually have to like hang out in person again? And we went to the game, we went out and had a few drinks after, and it was awesome.
The rest is history.
Yep.
Now, that's of course hockey, but you are, I think, the biggest football fan I know. And was the Buffalo Bills the first NFL game that you went to, or do you remember your first
Oh
NFL
yeah.
game?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, my mom is from Buffalo. That's why. Well, I think
Okay.
a lot of people assume that I'm a Bills fan just because it's so close to Toronto, but my mom is actually born and raised in Buffalo. So I grew up watching the Bills from a very young age. And yeah, we used to go to Bills games all the time. So yeah, my first NFL game was definitely the Bills.
Now, how do you think the Bills are going to do? So, I will tell anybody who listens, last year, by a fluke, I won my fantasy football pool. I still don't know how it happened. How do you think the Bills are going to do this year, and who should I pick?
We're gonna go to the Super Bowl this year.
Yes. Okay. I'll put
I
my
think we
money
have
on
a
it
great
now.
team. Yeah, I think we have a great team. I think that they have grown exponentially every year for the past 3 years. I mean, just seeing the improvement to me, if they stay on par with the way they've been improving each year, I think we can absolutely get to the Super Bowl next year.
I like to hear it. Take that, Tom Brady.
Yep.
Now I know I know I only have a minute left with you, so I have to ask, in terms of Canada touring, you're doing lots of shows where you are in the States. Can we expect to see you up here anytime soon?
I mean, the second someone tells me I'm allowed to come play shows there, I will be there. I mean, I playing here has been great, and I'm kind of like starting from square one with building a US fan base. And so, I really miss my Canadian fans and being able to walk on stage to people that know all my songs and have kind of been there with me since the start. Canadians are my first believers, and so coming and playing in Canada is always going to be special for me. So you guys just hurry up, get it back up, and I will be there.
Beautiful. Well, Megan, we can't wait to see you. We miss you too. And fingers crossed, we'll have some good news. And thanks for taking the time to chat today. We cannot wait for the album to be out and see what it does on the charts.
Anytime.
Thanks, Megan.
Awesome. Thank you.